Beautiful. And so hopefully I'm one of those guys that just listens to Randall Trammell and said, that sounds like a pretty good idea. So anyway, nice to see everybody and glad to be on the board.
Thank you, Scott. And next I'll ask for Dr. Eddie Bennett, our Secretary Treasurer, to introduce himself.
Eddie Bennett, and I'm the Executive Director of the Georgia Council for the Social Studies. And I was a Y Club member at Banks County High School quite a while ago. And then I was a advisor at the middle school for several years. And I was on the board of State YMCA, and now I'm on the board of GCCE. And I live on the line between, I live in an apartment building between Avondale Estates and Decatur, and I see Scott Maxwell out a good bit while I'm out walking in Avondale. And I also have a home in Banks County in the major metropolis of Gillsville, Georgia.
Very nice. Thank you, Eddie. And Randall.
Hey everyone, I'm Randall. I, much like those that have been on the call before me, I grew up in the Y Club program in Dalton from 6th grade on. I'm so thankful that my older cousin said, hey, there's this really great thing that you need to be a part of. And there's cute girls there too. And so that was even more incentive for me to get involved. I have been professionally associated with the organization in its various forms now for 17 years. But if you go back to 6th grade, we're looking at almost quarter of a century. So most of my life. So glad to be here and so glad to see all of your faces today.
Thank you, Randall. Joe Barnett.
Hey there. I am in Dalton, Georgia, and I am a retired educator, principal for the last 14 years of that career. And I still work part-time with the school system as well as adjunct faculty at Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee. And I am part-time at a church currently. So I retired and took 3 jobs. But I have been involved with Y Club since 6th grade as well, serving in Tennessee actually as a school level, district level, and state officer throughout my high school career, and also was able to attend national affairs at the time over in North Carolina, and just a great experience, and been a Y Club sponsor at the schools in which I've taught over the last 30 some odd years, and just excited to be here talking about all this stuff that our young people need. They need to hear this. They need to be involved in it because it's such a great opportunity.
Thank you, Joe. Rebecca Burnson.
Good morning, Rebecca Burnson, and I'm thrilled to be maybe the newest member of the board. As we were saying earlier, my husband and I live here in Daniel Island, South Carolina, but we are from Atlanta and raised our son in Atlanta for over 40 years. And we still keep a home in Atlanta. And if it was not for COVID, we would be there on a regular basis. I have just recently, within the last several years, retired from Benefit Focus here in Charleston, where I was Senior Vice President of Sales Ops and Channel Sales. And my whole career has been leading sales organizations, predominantly with some Fortune 500 companies. And so I've got a consulting practice today and have been busy working with some startups and some private equity firms. And the more I learn about the Georgia Center, the more excited I am, and what a great time with everything going on in the politics today for this, certainly this initiative and the council to be so relevant. And so I am really, really looking forward to working and doing whatever I can to contribute.
Welcome, Rebecca. It's great to have you with us. Charlie Bethel, were you able to join? I see we have a phone number, so I'm not sure who that is. Okay. So I guess Charlie hasn't been able to join us yet. Claire Bowen.
Good morning. I'm Claire Bowen and I live in Atlanta. I grew up in Statesboro, Georgia, where I was active in Y clubs. And currently I'm a consultant for the United Methodist Church. And if you've read about us in the news, everything is still just great. And I love the state Y and have been on the board for more years than I can remember. And glad to be with you on this Zoom screen this morning.
Yes, Claire, thank you. And we loved having you on this new board, particularly because of your historical knowledge of your longtime service with the state Y. Jason Bragg.
Hey, well, good morning, Liza. Good morning, Randall. And it's great to see a lot of faces that I haven't seen since probably, I guess, the end of last year. But I'm Jason Bragg. I am originally from Macon, but live in Atlanta and currently serve as Vice President of Government Relations for Georgia EMC, which is the state trade association representing all of our electric cooperatives in the state. I have the dubious honor, and depending on who you talk to, of being the last chairman of the state YMCA, and worked really hard with Randall and Claire and Liza and a lot of other those of you on the call on that board. Really excited to have transitioned to this new organization, and excited about the great things we can do, and really happy to be working under Liza's leadership. It's nice to kind of pass the baton over to somebody else now, because we had a great time. We got some great things, but there's just so many excellent possibilities that are in that we have in the future for this organization. I'm really excited to see where it goes. So congrats, everybody, and really happy to be here today. Thanks.
Well, Jason, thank you. And as you said, you were our last chair of the state YMCA of Georgia Board of Directors, and we are glad that you had the desire to continue to serve, because you did go through quite a bit in that transition. And so with your leadership, it was very smooth and effective. And that's where we are today. So thank you for your service.
Thanks, Thanks, Liza.
Lauren Freilich.
Hey, Liza, thanks. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lauren Freilich. I'm originally from Swainsboro, Georgia, and live in Atlanta now. I'm with Georgia Link Public Affairs Group, and so we do government relations consulting and lobbying. And I've been with Georgia Link for I guess 7 years now. Before that, I was with the Georgia Chamber of Commerce for 8 years doing their government relations work. So I'm excited to be a part of the board. This is, I served last year, and so looking forward to what comes ahead with our new organization.
Thank you, Lauren. It's good to see you this morning. Matthew Gamble.
Thank you, Liza, and good morning, everyone. It's good to be with you today. I am coming to you live from Komatsu in Cartersville, Georgia, where our chamber is doing a Manufacturing Appreciation Day. And when I committed to being on the call today, I did not realize that I had this going on too. So I apologize for not being in an office setting, but I'm a state representative here in Cartersville, House District 15. I'm in the second term, just finished up my first term. And I am in a business development role for a company called NFP. We do corporate benefits as well as other insurance coverages as well. I spent prior to that 15 years running a nonprofit called the Georgia Association for Career and Technical Education, which gave me the opportunity to work with middle school and high school CTAE teachers across the state. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be on the board, and I'm looking forward to serving.
Well, Representative Gamble, we will take you any way that we can get you today, whether in car or by telephone or by in an office. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for your service to the legislature.
Thank you.
Is Cody Hall with us today? Okay. Dalen Martin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dalen Martin. I'm originally from Hartford, Connecticut, which is where I first encountered the Y as a youth. So thank all of you for all of your hard work, because I'm sure it made a difference across the nation. And I'm thankful for the Y programs for giving us the opportunity to have a safe place to play and grow and learn as kids. I currently reside in Macon, Georgia. So Jason, I'm in your old home. I am a special ed teacher here at Northeast High School. I also coach mountain biking, hence my background. So I'm in my third term as a county commissioner here in Jones County. And I'm excited about working with youth and making a difference, and happy to be on the board. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate you being here today. Is Mary Caroline McCormick on the line yet? Okay. Macy McFall. Don't see Macy. Ray Moses.
Hey, Liza, Mary Caroline is on.
Oh, she is? I'm sorry. I see you, Mary Caroline. I'm so sorry. I see you in the middle of my screen now. It would be nice if Zoom would arrange things alphabetically for me. That's the way I see things. So Mary Caroline, welcome. And you're on mute. You're muted again. Let's see. Randall, can you hear her? Or is it just me?
I cannot hear her. We will.
I think something's
Let's
maybe off with your audio. We'll go ahead, okay?
come back to
Macy
you.
McFall. Okay, I don't think we had Macy. Excuse me, sorry about the barking dog. Ray Moses. Ray, are you with us today?
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. Irene, again, we're so happy that you're with us, whether you're in car and you're at your home. We're glad that you're able to be with us today.
Well, I've got a hard stop around 10:40 or 10:20, but so I'm sitting outside where I'm supposed to be and happy to be here. Again, I'm Irene Munn. I have been involved with Y clubs when I was in Cartersville High School, and thankful that I kept that interaction, and thankful for the service on the board 2 years ago, joining and now serving again. I served 12 years under Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, and now I'm an attorney, but I have my own workforce consulting practice, helping high school kids get great jobs in manufacturing and the skilled trades. So I'm having a lot of fun out there now, and I'm thrilled to be part of this organization.
Thank you, Irene. And Michelle Neesmith and James Nixon are also on our board, but they both had conflicts and are unable to be with us today. Is Caitlin O'Dea with us? Caitlin, I see you're on the phone, but you're muted. Caitlin, are you able to unmute?
Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. I figured out the *6. Yes, I'm sorry to be joining you guys by phone this morning, but yeah, my name is Caitlin. I'm from Bremen, Georgia. I work in political campaign world, so I work for a myriad of different candidates and campaigns. I think I'm maybe one of the more kind of recent members of the board to have gone through Y programming a couple of years ago in high school. So, I mean, so many of us, it's definitely shaped my path and where I am now. So it's such a big honor for me to be here with you guys today. I'm super excited for what to come. This is a really great group. Just really excited.
Thank you, Caitlin. Great to hear your voice this morning. Joe O'Kelly, are you with us? I don't see Joe. Okay. Chloe Satterfield.
Good morning, I'm Chloe. I'm currently a senior at Cartersville High School. So I'm about to graduate, so I don't really have a career yet, but I plan on attending Georgia Tech next year to study pre-law and public policy. I started Y Club in 8th grade, and I now serve as the 76th youth governor.
Well, congratulations. And good luck with Georgia Tech. Go Jackets.
Thank you, go Jackets.
Abigail Thompson.
Good morning. It's great to see everyone. My name's Abigail Thompson. I work in government relations for Wellstar Health System. I'm originally from Marietta, and I live now in the Atlanta area. I previously served on the statewide board, and so very honored and happy to be serving in this new capacity with the Georgia Center for Civic Engagement. I don't have any firsthand experience with statewide when I was going through middle school or high school, but love the work that it carries out in our mission, and just excited to serve with everyone on this board.
Good to see you this morning. And lastly, Ed Thomas.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ed Thomas. I live in Peachtree Corners, formerly from lived in Sandy Springs. I'm a managing director at Deloitte here in Atlanta, where I practice in our risk and financial advisory business. My experience with the State YMCA and the Georgia Center goes all the way back to the early 80s when I was in the Worth County school system. I was a Y Club member from 8th grade until graduating there. Served a number of times as a college staff member as part of a number of conferences. And I was a former district president down in Southwest Georgia. And the way I describe it is a lot of my background and on the faith front and from a character and a leadership standpoint, I can point to those 5 or 6 years as a big building block for who I am now.
Thank you. It's good to see you this morning, Ed. And I got ahead of myself. There's a couple more folks we need to introduce, so I am very sorry. I'd like to call on my really good friend, Melissa Timchuk.
Good morning, Liza. It's so good to see your face and so good to see all of you. My name is Melissa Timchuk. I live in Gainesville, Georgia. I work in administration at Northeast Georgia Health System. I serve as chief of staff to our president and CEO. I grew up in Banks County. I'm a former student of Dr. Eddie Bennett. So good to see you. I was involved in Y Club in high school. I served as state first vice president. I was really excited to do that in high school and very involved. And I also had the opportunity to continue to volunteer in college at several of the different conferences and events. So that was great. And now I have the privilege of having a daughter who is in 8th grade. And unfortunately, in Gainesville and Hall County, we really don't have any active Y clubs, but because it was really important to me for her to get that experience, we joined together with a few other moms and students, and she got the chance to participate in Junior Youth Assembly in 7th grade and actually got to go to Gunna right before everything shut down in February of last year. This past fall, she and her friends, they really kind of got in at the last minute in 7th grade, so they didn't write bills or anything, but they got the opportunity to write bills in the fall. Unfortunately, didn't get to participate in the event because it was canceled, but has been a great experience for her, and I'm committed to continuing to make sure that she can participate because I know how much it gave back to me when I was in middle school and high school. I just joined the state YMCA board right before it transitioned to this, so I'm excited to have the opportunity to continue to participate on this board.
Thank you, Melissa. It's so good to see you today. Brian Wallace.
Yes, my name is Brian Wallace. I live in Noonan, Georgia. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives at the Georgia Municipal Association, and I'm very excited to be part of this. It's quite fortuitous that Randall reached out to GMA to serve on this new board. GMA has taken a deeper dive into children and youth issues, and we're involved with civic engagement and city youth councils, and so it's actually perfect timing, and we're quite excited to be here, and I'm personally very excited to be part of this. I have a daughter in 11th grade and a son in 8th grade, so youth is a big deal to me right now.
Well, welcome. It's great to see you today. And lastly, Vince Williams.
Good morning, everyone. It is such a great honor to be with all of you. I am Vince Williams, the mayor of Union City, Georgia. I am also the current president of the Georgia Municipal Association that you heard Brian speak of, and also the first vice president of the National League of Cities. So certainly youth are extremely important to all of us, but certainly to those two very well-known organizations. And I'm looking forward to learning more about what you do, but also how we can continue to help propel the level of opportunity for all of our youth through this organization and opportunity. We did have about two or three years ago, we started our very own youth council. So certainly youth engagement, civics, all of those things are extremely important. As we know, many educational institutions have removed that very needed piece of community engagement from their learning opportunities for our young people. So I'm looking forward to interacting with all of you And certainly, thank you for offering the opportunity to us at GMA.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. And we do have a few more staff members to introduce. If you notice on your screen, we have Fireflies. That is an automatic note taker. I'm very impressed, Randall. That's very savvy and technologically advanced to have the note taker, automatic note taker. And then also with us today is Jeremy Austin. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Austin, and I grew up in Dawsonville, Georgia. Started participating in the programs in 6th grade. In a couple of months, I will celebrate 14 complete years and starting a 15th year. And I was trying to do the math sitting here, and I think I've been following Randall's leadership since I was in high school. So that's probably like 23 years or so. So I've officially been working for him for 14 years, but following his lead in some degree for 23 years.
Thank you, Jeremy. Did I miss anyone, Randall? Okay, I don't think so. Randall is frozen on my screen. I don't know if he's frozen on yours too, but we're going to go ahead back to our agenda. And so next on our agenda this morning, we have our mission moment. Mary Caroline, were you able to get your audio to work? And if so, I'll turn things over to you.
Is it working right now?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I'm so sorry again about all that. I'm at my school right now. We have really awful service and Wi-Fi here. So if I cut out at any moment, I apologize. But my name is Mary Caroline McCormick, and I served as the 76th youth governor this past year.
And now we see the importance of rural broadband, folks.
And I'm about to graduate from
Randall, I don't think we can hear anything.
No, I'm going to reach out to her.
Okay.
And I'm currently planning on going to Wake Forest in the fall. So, but with Y Club, I've had so many amazing opportunities to learn so much about our state's.
Right, now
I'm so sorry. Is it working?
Not really. You sound like Mr. Roboto. But we
Randall,
can.
Mary Caroline may not know who Mr. Roboto is.
We'll work with Mary Caroline to get her to dial in. Yep.
Okay, that works. So if we can, you want us just to move along to the agenda and we'll come back?
Yes. In fact, I would suggest that we go ahead and move on to Irene since she has a hard stop.
Yes, that's what I was going to suggest. So if we may, we are going to take the liberty to adjust our agenda this morning. Being that Irene does have the stop at 10:30. Irene, we'll go ahead and let you give your report if that's all right.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm really excited about this next opportunity. And it really is I'm not sure, Randall, did this idea give birth in your head, or is a combination of really just thinking about how our organization can better interface with school systems across our state, as well as our recent relationship with you, Mayor Williams, and GMA, and also ACCG, and just the recognition on how important it is that we are educating folks not only about civic engagement and civic education, but also putting people on a path for public service, and how many great jobs there are in public service. So this is really going to be exciting. Thank you to the leadership of the DOE, specifically the CTAE division, led by Barbara Wall, Roger Ivy, and John Pritchett, and also the folks in social studies. I can't, Randall, tell me our social studies person.
Joy
quickly?
Hatcher. Joy Hatcher.
Joy. And so we've got great support in DOE, always have, and we are about to launch in Georgia, where we are taking the Civics and American Government academic course, combine it with the introductory pathway course for public administration, making those a single course. We're aligning the standards. So you can be taking that career technical choice course, getting CTAE credit and also academic credit at the same time, hoping that introduction course will then lead more people into the public administration pathway that then begins our ability to really get kids focused on those great careers in public administration. So they are, DOE, hopefully in the next 2 months, will be approving that alignment of that pathway and that academic course. They are also going to be approving an advisory committee to oversee that course, as well as improving the rest of that public administration pathway. We've been asked to serve as kind of like the employment side of that advisory committee. So I'm excited about us putting together a workforce committee of this board. And thank you, Liza and Randall, for asking if I would chair that. I am happy to do so, very excited. Randall, I'm going to ask you to read out everyone that you've talked to about that service. And also just know anybody out there that wants to volunteer for our little working group, you are welcome. We need your expertise. And so this advisory committee will continue over the next year or two to work with DOE in making sure that pathway really can be transformative. And then the other thing we're doing is identifying, and we already have, a number of pilot locations where we can begin to really support high school programs and really get them to be a best practice program. I'm very much looking forward to the leadership of GMA in doing that with us. And again, Mayor Williams, we've got work to do. And we're hoping that we become the best practice program in Georgia. And with your leadership on the national GMA, or it's the national mayors, whatever it is, that national group, fancy national group you're on, that we might become a model for the rest of the United States. And that would be super cool. So we're going to dream big, and it just really is an awesome opportunity. Randall, why don't you fill in any blanks that I left, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sure. So Irene will be the chair of this group. We have reached out already to a number of you, Dr. Eddie Bennett, Representative Matthew Gamble, Brian Williams, Mayor Vincent Williams, Kay Love, not a part of this group, but is the executive director of the Georgia City Solutions under the Georgia Municipal Association. Michelle Neesmith for county commissioners, again with Commissioner Martin, Macy McFall, and Cody Hall from the Lieutenant Governor and Governor's Office, respectively. One thing, Irene, that I would add is that a key component of this is having what we call a civics lab. And I can think of no better place for these folks to learn how government works than at Youth Assembly.
Randall, you are now muted. Were you still talking, or did you finish your thought?
I'm finished talking.
All right, very good. Well, Irene, thank you very much. And as Irene said, are there any questions or comments? And also too, Randall, do we need to take a motion to form this task force?
We can take a motion if you'd like. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, to make it official, I think that would be appropriate. So is there a motion to accept the names of those that were listed to serve on the task force for the government pathway?
This is Matthew Gamble. I make a motion to what you just said, Liza.
All right. Thank you, Matthew.
This is
there a
Lauren
second?
Freilich, I second it.
Thank you, Lauren. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of creating the government pathway task force, please vote by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Say nay. All right. Well, we have our task force created. Thank you very much. Irene, anything else that we should report on before moving on?
I don't think so. We'll just continue to keep everybody up to date about what's going on. But over the summer, we'll be doing, for those of us that are going to be serving, let's do some virtual meetings kind of regularly to really support what they are doing at DOE. And again, I can't thank the folks at the Department of Education. I think they're very excited about this opportunity. And there is no doubt, I'm sure Mayor Williams can attest, as well as Brian and all our friends with the county commissioners, there is no doubt we need to really get focused on public affairs or public service workforce. So I'm excited about the opportunity.
Well, Irene, thank you again, and we appreciate you taking the lead on this initiative. And again, thank you to those of you that have volunteered your service to serve on the task force. So going back to our agenda, and we're going to take another moment of chairperson privilege, and we're going to change our the order of the agenda just so that we can be conscious of other commitments today. But Representative Gamble, are you at the point, would you be able to share your legislative update with the group?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, I'm Matthew Gamble, State Representative here in Cartersville, Georgia, House District 15. I'm new to this board, so I'm very honored to be amongst the distinguished people who are also on this board. So looking forward to getting to know you all and work with you on this important initiative for civics education, which is so important for our students. Randall asked me to give a legislative update, and we were together the other day, and I told him, I said, well, Randall, I'm just going to tell him we met, we ate, we fought, we left, and be brief. But we did conclude the legislative session about 3 weeks ago now. And as it relates to our cause today in civics education, we did have two pieces of legislation that would have affected us directly in civics education, and that is House Bill 589 that I authored. That was the civics renewal. That is the Civics Renewal Act, and Chuck Payne over in the state Senate also authored what we call a companion bill in Senate Bill 220, which was pretty much the identical language, and both of us went about moving these bills. And ultimately, what both bills would have done if we had been able to pass either one of them is to establish, in effect, a working study commission to look into civics education, how it's delivered, how it can be improved, how the state can better support those types of things if again, the legislation had passed. Unfortunately, neither bill passed, and for multiple reasons, but primarily there was some concern about COVID and groups meeting that were not absolutely essential over the coming months. And so I think that was our biggest obstacle for why neither bill passed this session. But I want to remind you that this was the first year of a 2-year term. So both bills are still active and eligible for consideration next year. And I will be, and along with Senator Payne, picking this back up to see if we might not could pass it next year. But I really enjoyed working on those, and there was a lot of support from the legislature to establish that commission. I had a lot of legislators that came up to me and thanked me for putting it out there and realize how important it is for our students to have increased opportunities for civics education in the classroom setting. So hopefully we'll get some traction next year. But those were two bills that I definitely wanted to mention in my legislative update today. And so I know we're on a tight schedule, so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Liza, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Are there any questions for Representative Gamble? Well, I will just say on behalf of the board, thank you so much for carrying the load for us for this bill and this during this past session. And, you know, hopefully things, as you said, with COVID resolving, things will be different this next session. And maybe we could even have a GCCE legislative day, and we could come down and lobby on behalf of the association this next session. So again, thank you for all your tireless work. for helping move the bill forward. And we're looking forward to the activity for this next year. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Going back, Mary Caroline, we want to give this one more shot. Actually,
Hopefully my audio is working better now.
You sound much better.
Okay, awesome. And again, I apologize for all that. I'm at school right now, so there may be a little bit of background noise and things like that, but hopefully things are working a lot better. We have a moment to try to find a different room to go to right now.
Well, hey, you go where you need to go, and
Okay.
we will go ahead and move along to Jeremy's report.
I'm so sorry. There's been so much confusion with the bell schedule and everything.
All right. Jeremy, if we can move forward with the program update.
Yes. So the report for state programs is pretty brief. Probably because of COVID, we've been limited in what we could do, but behind the scenes, we've been preparing a lot of really fun and exciting things. So in a typical school year, we have somewhere around 100 plus schools that will affiliate and charter in our programs. With COVID, a lot of clubs were not allowed to meet, but we were still able to get 24 schools that agreed to charter and affiliate for the year. And we anticipate to see that grow back to normal levels as restrictions are kind of pulled back and schools go back to normal in the fall. Leading up to the fall of 2020, we started a new program called Youth Vote, and we had 235,000 students from across Georgia that registered to vote through their schools for that program. And so that was a huge success of ours, and we're looking to do that typically every 2 years as there's a state election or a national election that's of interest to the students, where we'll put out information for them. Particularly for our high school students, we'll do voter registration drives and different things like that to get more students engaged in the political process. We also started a new program called the Emerging County Leaders Program in the fall. We had a short time to get that started, but we were fortunate to get 25 students from 21 counties engaged in that program. They learned how county government works. They were in regional groups talking about how they could work together within the regions of their state to better, whether it was transportation issues, infrastructure issues, and they also had a couple of great interactions with folks from the Association of County Commissioners, as well as Commissioner Tyrone Oliver from the Department of Juvenile Justice. One of the big takeaways that we had from the students that participated this year is that they felt like that there needed to be more work put into the Department of Juvenile Justice. And so we were able to give them an entire day with him where he talked about the work of the Department of Juvenile Justice, and they were able to interact and ask questions of him. We just completed on Tuesday our third day of one-day programming for our spring youth assembly programs. We did have to cancel all of those programs in the fall because of transportation issues, but we were able to do a one-day program in South Georgia in Adel at Cook High School, and we had around 120 one-day program at the historic Bartow County Courthouse here in Cartersville, and we had about 150 students at that one for a North program. And then on Tuesday, we just finished a middle school program with about 100 students up in Dalton. So in total, we had around 350 students in those one-day programs, and we think that that will build a lot of energy going into the fall. And then as we look ahead, on Wednesday of this week, we announced our new youth assembly leadership positions. So we announced our new youth governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker, and we are working internally as a staff to build back up the concepts of state so that we can build a platform of leadership for students amongst all of the schools and build our reach across the state to grow our programs.
I'm muted. Thank you, Jeremy. Does anyone have any questions for Jeremy on the programs update? All right. Well, we really appreciate your report and all the time that you put into working with the students, most recently, Jeremy, with the youth assembly sessions that you all put on these past few weeks. So I'm getting a message that Mary Caroline is maybe more in a more stable environment. Mary Caroline, are you able to join now?
Yes, hopefully y'all are able to hear me more clearly now.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry again to all of y'all about everything. I'm in school right now, and so I was unable to leave school, and there was some switching of classrooms I had to do. But my name is Mary Caroline McCormick, and I just served as the 76th youth governor, and I really enjoyed that experience. I'm a senior in high school, so I'll be graduating from Westminster Christian Academy, which is in Athens, Georgia. And I'm planning on attending Wake Forest in the fall, which I'm very excited about. Y Club has been one of the most incredible experiences for me. It really has completely transformed who I am as a person, my confidence levels, my speaking abilities. And I'm so grateful for all of the work that all of y'all have put into making this program so incredible. Through serving as youth governor, I had so many amazing opportunities to really just understand more about our government system and really pour into some of the younger students, and really just attempting to lead well in all scenarios. And I've just really had an incredible time doing that and serving and leading through GCCE. And I'm really just so thankful for all of the opportunities.
Well, thank you, Mary Caroline, and I'm so glad that we were able to hear your update, and what a meaningful opportunity that you did get to serve as the 76th Youth Assembly or Youth Governor. What an incredible experience, and congratulations to you on attending Wake Forest in the fall. Maybe you'll be able to come back and give us an update on what you're doing. But what are your plans for the future? Are you thinking for a career in public service, or?
So I have not completely decided, but I'm actually interested in more of a science route. So I'm planning on studying neuroscience, but I'm interested in the intersection of neuroscience and the law. So possibly taking it more of a legal route as well. So that's kind of what I'm planning on doing, but we'll see how all of that works out. But I really believe that the state YMCA has kind of impacted my desire to do that. I've been super interested in law and things like that through this program, and I'm really thankful for that influence.
Well, thank you again for your service, and thank you for sharing your message today, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. So getting back on track, Eddie, can you give us our financial update?
Well, since I only became the Secretary Treasurer last week, I'm going to ask Randall Trammell to make this report.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary Treasurer. So on page, and I've already got out of order, shortly after the program report in your packet, you'll see a report. Now, let me first say that we will typically give you a report directly from QuickBooks. So you should not, you won't see reports like this in the future. We are transitioning with our accountant from the state YMCA chart of accounts to the Georgia Center's chart of accounts. And so we're working that out. But in the vein of things of how Gerald Wade taught me, at the end of the day, the board wants to know how much money you brought in and how much money you spent, and if you have anything left. Our revenues from July 1st through the 27th was right around $600,000. Our expenses were, for the same period of time, is about $667,000. So as you can tell right now, we're running a $60,000 deficit year to date. The good news is we have money in the bank. We have just under $218,000 in the bank. We should be receiving today, tomorrow, sometime in the next few days, our final installment from the Marcus Foundation of the grant we're concluding for $112,150. So we will, of course, that'll change the loss proceeds. What I do want to note is item number 2 on our report here, that some $250,000 of this reported funds are items that we granted to the state YMCA as it closed up to either support operations or to for educational travel refunds. Obviously, we couldn't take the trips this year, so otherwise we'd be in a much different financial picture. Number 3 was very interesting to me. Our traditional revenue strategy, we like to have a good mix so that all of our eggs are not in a basket. Typically, about 50% of our revenue strategy is in programs or fee for service, which is supported by grants and corporate support, and then fundraising. If you'll look to the right, our actual revenue composite this year was about 5% fee for service or program revenue, 40% corporate / grants, and 55% fundraising. Now, in that pie as well, and I didn't pull it out, is our first round for PPP was about $17,000. Our second round was just over $60,000. So for PPP, I do want to say that we have been forgiven for both of those rounds of PPP, which I'm so glad we were able to take advantage of that program. We do anticipate a return to normal in the fall. However, we don't know what momentum we've lost in terms of student participation or school participation. So we're projecting a 30% decrease in participation, just to be conservative. We hope that so many folks are tired of being stuck at home and stuck at school that we'll have a 30% growth, but we would rather present a conservative outlook for you all. We do plan on, in fact, I have a lunch on Tuesday with the Marcus Foundation asking for or preparing to ask for a second round of grants through them. I'm preparing to ask for a 3-year, $400,000 a year grant to focus on our middle school programs and creating that pipeline for our high school programs. Our audit is currently underway. So as soon as that is available, I will make that available to you all. And we anticipate the 2021 budget to be in the $1.2 million range. As a reminder, we are on a July 1st to June 30 fiscal year. So with that, I will conclude that report and entertain any questions there may be, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you, Secretary Treasurer Bennett and Dr. Trammell for the review of the financials. Are there any questions or comments?
Hey, this is Matthew Gamble, and I may have missed it. And if I did, I apologize. I appreciate the update on the financials, but just trying to learn the basics. I get the income and the expenses and the fundraising amounts. Do we currently have reserves or hey, can you hear me?
We can now. I
Okay.
think you trailed off after, do we have reserve? Were you going to ask if we have reserves and investments?
Yeah. My question is,
Okay.
do we have reserves and investments of any kind? That's the gist of my question.
Okay. Randall, I will direct that to you.
At this moment, Matthew, the only reserves that we have is cash on hand. We've not yet established, I mean, we just have a checking account. So we've not yet established an investment portfolio or anything to date. So what we've reported, this 30,000 some odd is what we have on hand.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we don't have an endowment. Maybe that's something that we can add to the strategic plan or goal for the future. But, you know, certainly as a new organization, and, you know, everything that we carried over from the statewide, that's why we're, I guess, in the financial situation that we are in at this moment, Matthew. For other boards that I have served upon, we usually take a motion to approve the financial report. So I think that would be appropriate at this time. Is there a motion to approve the report that was presented?
Hey, Liza.
So moved.
Sorry, this is Melissa. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
I just wondered, y'all are probably working on this, but I know I was a donor to the state YMCA through I think it was the 1929 Society or something like that, where it was a monthly donation. And I know those ended in December. Are we working on rolling people over that were, you know, giving on a monthly basis to the state YMCA to now GCCE?
I'll take that question. Yes, we are.
Thank you, Randall.
So if we haven't got to you yet, then you can expect a call by noon.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? I did hear a motion, and I'm sorry that I did not. Was it you,
me.
Ed?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Is there a second?
Second, Scott Maxwell.
All right, thank you, Scott. All those in favor of adopting the financial report as presented, would you please vote by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, thank you very much. Get back to my agenda here. So we also have Chloe Satterfield with us today, who is the co-youth governor for the 76th Youth Assembly. Welcome, Chloe. It's good to have you. And if you would be willing to share us with you your mission moment. Chloe, we are not hearing you. I don't see that you're muted, but I'm not sure what's going on with your audio.
It might be the microphone is, that the microphone in the computer is muted.
Is that better?
Yes, ma'am. We
Okay,
can hear you
okay.
loud and clear.
So I wanted to share a moment today with y'all from our most recent junior youth assembly program that was really special to me. So just to give you a little background, I started this program in 8th grade and I had just transferred from a super small private school. Like I think I had 12 kids in my class. So I was very shy, very reserved. I didn't like speaking in front of people. Definitely did not have any very strong political opinions. So when I went to junior youth assembly in Ghana my 8th grade year, I was terrified of presenting my bill, terrified of presenting my resolution. So obviously through this program, it has really enabled me to find my voice and find my courage. And I had a moment at this junior youth assembly that really came full circle for me. So me and Mary Caroline were sitting at this high up table next to the well as we were watching all of the middle schoolers debate. And as y'all know, if you have kids, like middle schoolers can be really funny and, they don't really know how the program works yet and they're trying to figure it out. So they're all really scared. Well, there was this little girl named Macy who was sitting right in front of me. And I would see her like making notes with her friend. And I'd see her like grab her placard and act like she was going to stand up and ask a question. And she would never do it. And I like looked at her one time, I was like, come on, like stand up. And she would shake her head and she was like, no, no, no. So finally, after watching her do this over and over again, I went over to her and I was like, hey, do you want to ask the delegate a question? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I'll sit here and I'll help coach you through it. So she stood up and I told her what to say. And she asked this question and she sat back down and I looked at her and I was like, what do you think about this bill? And this is a 6th grade girl, and she proceeds to tell me that she thinks that this bill is violating our civil liberties and explains to me why she thinks that. And I was so impressed because this girl is so smart, so intelligent. She just didn't have the confidence to stand up and speak. So I told her, I was like, wow, that's so impressive. And I told her if she needed anything, I was sitting right there to come find me and Mary Caroline. And she was like, thank you. So after I left, she stood up 3 more times and spoke. And it really showed me how much these students can grow just by one older kid, having a really important interaction with them. And I think that that's something that's so valuable and something so overlooked is our junior youth assembly programs, because as high schoolers, we don't treat each other like, oh, you're a kid, like, let me help you. But I wish that I had had an older girl come up to me as a middle schooler and empower me to say something. So I think that just really speaks to the strengths of these organizations and how it's helping kids find their voice and their confidence.
Well, Chloe, thank you so much for sharing your story. And you never know, you may have encouraged this young lady to one day also run for youth governor. So I hope that maybe you get the opportunity to follow her in her JYA and YA career. But thank you so much for being that positive influence and taking the time to help her get more experience with the process.
Thank you.
All right. So we're now going to have a report from Pro Bono Partnership Atlanta. This is a legal program that Randall has so fortunately researched and allowed us to be part of. He and I, as well as Eddie, have been able to meet with attorneys in the Atlanta area that have offered their free legal services to the GCCE. It's very impressive. So Eddie and Randall, I will turn it over to you for the full report.
Okay, thank you, Liza. This was a really great experience to meet with these 3 lawyers, and one was from Warner Media, one from AT&T, and one from Kilpatrick Stockton. And they had a checklist, and it was a very thorough checklist looking at all of the operations of this organization. And the lead attorney said in her 13 plus years leading these events, she had never seen a nonprofit who was as well prepared as GCCE was. And we can give credit to Randall and his staff for that. And thank you, Randall, for all of your hard work. And there were a few questions, but only a very few questions that they had. And I think Randall and Liza have met once again with one of the lawyers, or maybe more, to get some more information and provide some more information. But the checklist had to do with contracts, security for students on field trips or at youth assembly and so forth, and also about the adult supervision and just any and every other kind of thing you can imagine that we would need to know about, understand, and be in compliance with the law concerning our organization. So Randall, do you have other comments, or Liza?
I will tell you, it was a very telling event. That it's almost like you go to the doctor and you sit up on the table and they ask you all these sorts of questions about, have you done this, or do you feel this? I will tell you, it was an organizational physical, and we passed the few projects that we walked out with. We're going to have some attorneys review our school participation agreements, particularly to put in some new language that may be needed as a result of COVID. Have some other really mostly stuff, our contract with students who go on trips and stuff, just to make sure that the organization's interests are protected, that we are covered in terms of liability. But those are the major projects that we walked out of that with. Liza, would you agree, or have any other thing to add?
Absolutely. I was just so impressed with just the level of expertise that is available to us. And just the willingness of these attorneys to take their own time to, step outside of their corporate world, to be willing to volunteer and assist the GCCE.
And we may end up with a few board members out of it too. The attorneys from Warner Media and AT&T were very interested in our work and civic engagement. So that's always a nice plus as well.
But any questions from any board members about the recent report from Pro Bono Atlanta? Right. Hearing none, Randall, we'll move along to your report, the CEO's report.
As many Zooms as I've been over the past year, you'd think I'd remember to unmute. So I provided my report to you all in written form. I've, through other elements in the meeting, have alluded to some of it, so I'll keep it brief and open up for questions. But I do want to share this quote that I shared in the report, and it was written about cities by Herb Cain, but I think it's appropriate for us. An organization is not gauged by its length and width, but by the broadness of its vision and the height of its dreams. And we certainly have a huge vision and a huge dream to impact the state of Georgia and its students. So a few bullet points of things that I think is important for you all to know. Grants and foundation support. Again, I mentioned the Marcus Foundation will be submitting their final payment to us. We'll be asking them again for an additional support or renewal of the grant for $400,000 a year. I anticipate that funding would hit on early January. Senator Kelly Loeffler and her husband have been very generous in support of our organization this year. They contributed $250,000 to us with no strings attached, just simply to support the work of civic engagement. Want to thank Caitlin O'Day for helping make that possible. Caitlin was on the senator's election staff and helped get us connected. And working with Senator Kelly Loeffler's personal finance person also introduced us to Matt Ryan, who she handles his accounts as well. And Matt Ryan and his family foundation made a contribution of $25,000 to us this past year as well. Again, those are individuals that are interested in the work we do, and I believe would be supportive of future requests for support as well. We are leading for Georgia the Civic Renewal Coalition, and iCivics gave out a handful of grants to states that were eligible up to $20,000 per state. We received the full grant for $20,000 to support our work. And so we're excited about that. The Nordson Foundation has given us a $2,500 grant to support the work that we do in Gwinnett County. They also have a separate fund for, I want to say, maybe it's Emmanuel County. And Lauren, you may know more about that, I think, since you're down from that area. But the Nordson Corporation, that's a brand new relationship that we're working with. but we're continuing to see that. The Georgia Bar Foundation, we're making a grant request to them, which is due on Monday. So I'll be doing that this afternoon, finalizing that. PPP loan, again, it has been forgiven. And we are the wonderful thing about the wonderful and awful thing, let me say this about COVID, is that it has given us some time to be creative in our program delivery and our approach, but it's also given us some time to be intentionally introspective and to, instead of rushing from one program and recruitment to another program to another, it's given us a time to really take stock and inventory over the quality of what we do and how well we do in terms of getting our mission and meeting our mission and getting it out there for as many folks as we can. So we're looking at different ways to do that, possibly launching a middle school roadshow that will allow us to get to more students across the state. We're still studying that as a staff and its viability. Another thing that we were able to do, really at the request of the Marcus Foundation, is to put together a strategic plan of sorts. And a number of you were invited to participate and give input. I think the person who did this for us asked us to have 50 or 75 folks from different aspects of our organization's life, including students and advisors and just the whole gamut. And we learned a lot of things. And so in the appendix of my report, you'll see the strategic plan. But really what I think is most interesting outcome of that is the environmental scan we did of our, I guess you could say, competitors who offer such similar programming. And we lead the way in civic programming in Georgia. Our traditional competitors, we would say, are Mock Trial. And I think they serve 200 teachers and 1,900 students statewide. So we certainly are and remain the largest civic education organization in Georgia, and we're proud of that. What we've done in the strategic plan is we have taken our mission and we've just built strategic goals on that. So, to educate and equip students to become informed and active citizens. And for parts of that, the schools play a role in that. So engage schools. Educators play a role in that. So engage educators. Of course, students are what it's all about. And then the last sort of overall operational goal is to engage communities so that they can provide supports for these students, to have mentorships, to have places to serve and plug into either when they come back from college or when they graduate high school. So we're really excited in a part of that. And a part of that community aspect is the Georgia Municipal Association and the County Commissioner Group, and we're so glad about that. I did want to take a second and let Brian Wallace talk about what we do, or what they do, and how their work is joined with us, and then I'll conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Randall. And I'll be real short. And I should have probably mentioned this when Irene was talking about the pathway work that we'll be working on as an organization. But GMA, I just wanted to let you all know what GMA is doing that really fits into some of what you all are doing, or what we are doing, is that we are making a significant project with the Carl Vinson Institute of Government on municipal workforce municipal workforce needs assessment, which will happen this year. So some pretty heavy duty research of both of municipal workforce needs, and also reviewing other groups, other literature that's being on that, as well as surveying Georgia cities. And then next year would be the strategy development, which will include working with this group potentially, as well as a DOE and the technical college system, as well as the university system, on what strategies we can do and create, and what programs that might need to be implemented to get people into the municipal workforce. I mean, in the private sector, we want the best and the brightest, and we want the same thing in our cities and the people that staff them. So just wanted to let you know that we were doing that. We're excited about it ourselves. We were already planning that. It just happens to kind of dovetail with what you all, or what we're doing here. So we're real excited about that, and to see a lot of synergy with that. So just wanted to give you that quick update. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And Madam Chair, that concludes my report. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to entertain those at this time.
Thank you, Randall, and thank you, Brian. Any questions or comments? And I will just say how impressive this board packet is, Randall. The time that you and staff put into putting this together, it's extremely valuable, and it just looks very nice. So thank you so much for getting that out to us. I love the new logo. Everything just looks great.
One thing I would, a shameless plug, you all received an email for a board portal. Please take advantage of that. It'll have organizational documents in there, as well as a board directory. Unfortunately, right now we're at a time where folks are just having to see each other on Zoom screens. So there's a pictorial directory in there. If you don't like the photo that I have snagged from you off of various social media, you feel free to send me a new one and I can update that. But we've tried to make it a way for you to connect with each other and have immediate access to the information you need to help serve this organization.
Thank you, Randall. Encourage everyone. I have not updated any of my information, but it's really exciting that we have the access to the portal to use for many different reasons. Okay. So we are right at 10:45, the time that we are set to adjourn, but we do have the opportunity on our agenda for any miscellaneous business. So for the good of the order, does anyone have anything that they would like to share before we depart today? Okay. Well, again, Mary Caroline, Chloe, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing your stories. And we wish you the best of luck as you move on and graduate and go off to college and your future endeavors. But please don't be strangers. We would love to actually have you serve on this board one day. It would be great to have one of you serving as chairperson in the future. So keep up the great work and don't be strangers, and let us know how you're progressing with your education and your further careers. So if there's nothing else, again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for participating and everyone being engaged in our meeting. But may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Right. Thank you, Abigail. And thank you, Mayor Williams. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning our meeting, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Well, everyone, thank you again for your time, your service, and stay well. And hopefully we'll get to see you very soon in the fall.
That's good.
Take care.
Great seeing
Good
everyone.
weekend.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.